and welcome. I am Thomas Porteous and you are watching The World Report. Let's take a look at some of the top headlines this hour. Israel's Prime Minister Binyamin Netanyahu has praised US President Donald Trump's revolutionary plan for Gaza, claiming it is a better for Israel. Meanwhile, Palestinian officials say 3 have been killed in the West Bank. Russia has launched over 150 drones at Ukraine as President Zelensky's launch 3 new attacks in the Kursk region. Meanwhile, President Trump says Russian President Vladimir Putin wants people to stop dying after the two leaders speak about the ongoing war. Meanwhile, Trump has defended Elon Musk and Doge after recent backlash over his departmental shutdowns, stating Musk has already found $1 billion worth of government savings. Musk is set to turn his attention to the military, with Trump citing hundreds of billions in military fraud. President Trump has announced 25% tariffs on all imports of steel and aluminium into the US. He is also set to announce reciprocal tariffs on all nations that have levied imports on America. Israeli Prime Minister Binyamin Netanyahu has hailed former US President Donald Trump's Gaza plan as revolutionary. The proposal would place Gaza's redevelopment under US control while relocating its residents to other countries. Netanyahu voiced optimism about American involvement after returning from Washington. In Gaza, Palestinian civilians were able to cross the Netzarim Corridor freely following an Israeli military withdrawal. However, Israeli airstrikes continued hitting Hezbollah targets in Lebanon, while military operations escalated in the West Bank. A raid in the Nur Shams refugee camp resulted in 3 deaths, including a pregnant woman, prompting demands for an investigation as global powers push for solutions. The region's future remains uncertain, caught between diplomacy, conflict, and the fate of its people. We are joined in the studio by Joshua Barnes, anchor and correspondent. Joshua, we have reports of further Trump comments about US plans to take over Gaza. Joshua, what can you tell me about this?
Yes, so Trump has been speaking aboard Air Force One. He's reiterated his claims that he's looking to buy and control Gaza, of course, something that has seen worldwide condemnation. However, he is reiterating his points and reiterating his claims. He used the phrase a real estate site when he described Gaza, but has also said that potentially countries within the Middle East will be required to fund the redevelopment of Gaza. Now, the question is this Trump saying that he wants to make Gaza a better place for the Palestinian people living there? Or is he looking at this as a project? Using the term real estate really leaves that open. I wonder really what his intentions are for what he calls the Riviera of the Middle East.
Thank you very much, Joshua, for joining us. For more on this discussion, we are joined by Ali M. Ashubak, independent Palestinian researcher joining us from Cairo, and Lev Aran, former coordinator of Israel-India Parliamentary Friendship League. I wanted to come to you first, Ali M. Bushback. How do Palestinians perceive this Trump plan to take over Gaza as the new Riviera of the Middle East?
Well, thank you for having me. In fact, everyone got shocked. Donald Trump, he's not acting as a president. He's acting like a real estate broker by treating like this with the Palestinian and behaving like this kind of solution. Particularly, he's ignoring the international community rules, like the solution 194 in 1948 about the right of Palestinians to return to their land, which Israel occupied in 1948. So Donald Trump, he's acting unrealistic to send a troop in Gaza and occupied it and evacuated the Palestinians from Gaza. 2 million people, you can imagine 2 billion people, they will replace them to other place. Here is the point. The second point, everyone got rejected this kind of notion, and particularly it's not realistic. It's a kind of imagination. No one can accept it. We have seen after 15 months of the conflict, of the war in Gaza, more than 80% of the Palestinian who's forcibly displaced from northern Gaza to southern Gaza, from northern Gaza to southern Gaza, how they wait for the ceasefire to return to their home. More than of 1.5 million return to their home, and they establish their home or restructuring their home, and they are living in the tent. So this kind of notion, I don't know, Donald Trump, even he knows that or no, a Palestinian will never accept to leave their home and to return. Particularly, there is a kind of term, it's about second Nakba. They will not let the second Nakba happen again after what happened in 1948. So all the Palestinian population, people or politician, or also international or non-government organization, they reject this notion, Donald Trump notion. Even the Arab area, they didn't accept it. It's not acceptable at all.
Lev Aran, I wanted to come to you next. Netanyahu has praised Donald Trump's plan heavily, calling him the best friend to Israel. How do they believe this aligns with Israel's security and political objectives?
First of all, I agree with Ali that Trump is changing the international norms because he views the international system as unfair, and in a way brings ideas that we never heard about, and any other politician that would pop up these ideas, we would laugh at him. But he is like the president of the United States, so we need to take him seriously. Now, in Israel, we have a right-wing government. And of course, this right-wing government is very happy that Trump sees the solution in Gaza in a way that most of the Palestinians, at least for the next few years, will not live in Gaza. This is something that only the fringe of the right wing in Israel were daring to speak about in the last 1.5 years. When they spoke about it, it was like a genocidal talk from all over the world. And now that Trump says the same things, they are vindicated. So it is not even the Israeli government. Trump speaks like the right-wing fringe of the Israeli government.
Ali M. Abushbak, I wanted to move on to the escalating violence in the West Bank, where reportedly 3 Palestinians have been shot dead, including a pregnant woman. What do you have to say about these reports of escalating violence in the West Bank, even after the ceasefire deal?
Well, it's unfortunately what is happening in West Bank, the second or after the war in Gaza, Israel transferred to the military campaign in West Bank. Despite that, this is making the ceasefire in Gaza and the trade. So the ceasefire in Gaza, it's at the risk of the collapsing. Also in the West Bank, also the situation is boiling. Why? Because of what is happening. Escalation of the violence in West Bank will not increase except more and more violence. Israel doesn't. The right wing in Israel, like Benjamin Netanyahu and his united, like Smotrich and Ben-Gvir, who doesn't digest the ceasefire in Gaza, which they always asking their priority to return to the war in Gaza. So what is happening in West Bank? Unfortunately, there is a gap, or there is the power gap. While the Palestinian Authority are weak, they couldn't hold the situation in West Bank, unfortunately, and now there is a new Palestinian military group that are growing up in West Bank. So here I want to turn your attention about the solution 2334 in 2016, which definitely condemned the Israeli settlement in West Bank and East Jerusalem, and they consider it as an illegal settlement in the Palestinian territories in 2016 during the administration of Mr. Obama. So Israel doesn't care about such kind of also international community rules or solution. That's making the situation more complicated, and it make it we are, I mean, make it the Palestinian and Israeli at the front for the fighting again. So this part of behavior on the ground, it's delaying the peace process between Israel and Palestinian and the negotiation. What is happening in West Bank, it's completely terrible when you are trying to evacuate the Palestinian who's in Jenin. More than also, it's considered as a Gaza, also Jenin for the Israeli community. And it's posting the danger to the Israel. When you also evacuated more, or forcibly to displace the more than 1,000 of Palestinians from their home in Jenin to other places, also it will make the situation a blast like what is happening in Gaza. Rather than using the power to solve the issue, should most be looking for the peace, looking for the realistic solution between the Israeli and Palestinian.
Lev, Aran, I wanted to get your response to Ali there. And what can you say about this violence in the West Bank, possibly violating international law?
I agree with Ali. When we have ceasefire with Lebanon and Hezbollah and with Hamas and Islamic Jihad in Gaza, naturally, one will see more soldiers in the West Bank. Now, when Trump is denouncing the international system, international community, and he doesn't care about what at least I guess Ali sees as the international law, you don't have much of attention of what happens in the West Bank. And of course, Israel is quick enough to understand that right now things that Israel is doing in the West Bank is not the headlines in any international newspaper. Now, what helps Israel is that a few weeks before what Israel was doing in Jenin, the Palestinian Authority was doing the same thing. I'm sure that Ali will agree with me. Because Jenin belongs not to Israel, but to Palestine, to the Palestinian Authority. And the excuse of Israel to fight in Jenin is because the Palestinian Authority gave up Jenin. And in a way, if you speak to bigwigs quietly in Israel, they will tell you that the Palestinian Authority is quite happy with what is Israel doing in Jenin.
Ali Bushback, I wanted to talk about the importance of the Netzarim Corridor, and you have seen the complete withdrawal of Israeli troops there. Why is this so crucial for the people of Palestine?
Well, this is the policy of Israel to limit the movement right for the Palestinian. With also before the Netzarim Corridor, it was Erez Corridor and Kerem Abu Shalom Corridor also border. This is also in West Bank. Also, there is a limitation for the Palestinian movement, and this is the right. I mean, this is the human right for the Palestinian, not the Palestinian, for any human, for the movability, isn't it? So, what is happening after Israel launched the war in Gaza? Because of the Hamas attack, an unrepresented attack in 7th of October, they occupied that Netzarim corridor. And after that, it's limited for the Palestinians to return who's in southern part of Gaza to return to their northern part, their home. So after Israel withdrew, this is giving the freedom for the limitation. Previously was that there is the idea about Gaza is the biggest jail in the world, and now Gaza is not the biggest jail. Unfortunately, Gaza is the biggest graveyard in the world. After 49,000 of civilians who killed Netanyahu and his ministry, they were claiming that they are attacking Hamas, but unfortunately, we have seen the power of Hamas during the holding the hostages or releasing the hostages, which really shocked the statement. So the Palestinian celebrated after Israel withdrew. They are they are looking for any part of hope for the peace and for ceasefire, as after 15 months of continuous fighting and bombardment of Israel and shooting the people and displace the people and also starving the people, they are living in unhumanitarian situation in Gaza. So obviously they are celebrating, while there is a mutual accusation between Hamas and Israel about the violation of the ceasefire. Well, Hamas claims that Israel doesn't hold it to their commitment for the ceasefire. Also, on Friday, we have heard about Netanyahu. He said Hamas also violated the agreement without giving any details. It's complicated the situation for the next step or the next phases of the negotiation between Hamas and Israel. And also, as I said, the people in Gaza, they are looking forward to next stage of the war. They don't want to return to the war again since they are, this is the people who suffered from the war, not Hamas suffered from the war in Gaza. Only people who suffered and sacrificed a lot.
Thank you very much. Ali M. Abushbak and Lev Aran, thank you very much for joining us. We have unfortunately ran out of time. We will now move on to some more international news updates. The United States is set to impose 25% tariffs on all aluminium imports and steel imports. President Donald Trump says the move will apply to all countries, including Canada and Mexico. He also warned of reciprocal tariffs on nations that tax US goods. China has already retaliated with duties on American exports. Let's have a look at more on this report.
United States President Donald Trump has announced plans to impose 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminium imports and reciprocal tariffs on countries leveling duties on US goods. Trump said on Sunday that he would formally announce the tariffs on steel and aluminium the following day, and the countervailing levies later in the week. Trump did not specify which country would be subject to the retaliatory tariffs, but said they would not affect all countries.
We'll also be announcing steel tariffs on Monday.
Tomorrow?
Monday, yeah, tomorrow.
What countries will those go on?
Everybody, steel.
Including Canada and Mexico?
Yeah, any steel coming into the United States is going to have a 25% tariff.
What about aluminum, sir?
Aluminum too.
10%?
25%.
25 for aluminum.
25 for both.
Trump's latest tariff threats come after he last month announced plans to impose 25% tariffs on all Canadian and Mexican goods, as well as a 10% tariff on Chinese imports. Trump's tariffs against China, which announced retaliatory tariffs on US exports, took effect on Tuesday. Bureau Report, NewsX.
We will now take a look at some news updates from across Europe. A man has been arrested after a knife attack in Stoneybat, North Dublin. The attack had left 3 men injured. 2 victims sustained serious but non-life-threatening injuries, while a third had a minor injury. Reports say they suffered slashing-type injuries. Irish Prime Minister called the attack shocking. He later took to the press to wish the victims a full recovery. A fight at a youth football match near Paris left 1 person seriously injured. He was airlifted to the hospital. Violence broke out when the armed youths attacked the stadium during half-time of the match. A player then allegedly stabbed one of the attackers, sparking more chaos. After the fight, 2 players jumped into the Seine and police rescued one of them. 1 victim was flown to Paris hospital by helicopter. France's Football Federation plans legal action. Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia have joined the European power grid after cutting ties with Russia. Lithuanian President Nausėda said the switch was completed on Sunday. The Baltic states sped up the move after Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine. They feared that they could too be targeted and Russia would blackmail them using electricity supplies. Nausėda called it a big step for their security. Kosovo's Prime Minister Albin Kurti claimed victory in Sunday's election. Through exit polls show his party winning around 40% back in 2021. They got 50%, downing their current win. Kurti remains confident of forming a government, saying his coalition will continue its work. His popularity has risen due to efforts to strengthen control over the Serb-majority north. 3 journalists from Turkey's Bergen newspaper were detained under anti-terror laws over a story about Istanbul's chief prosecutor. The journalists were taken from their homes late Saturday and released hours later. Media watchdogs and opposition leaders condemned the move. Bergen's editor-in-chief said the report was based on public information and accused authorities of trying to silence the press. Health Minister Andrew Gwynn has been sacked and suspended from the Labour Party after a newspaper revealed offensive WhatsApp messages. Gwynn insulted constituents, MPs and councillors, including racist and sexist remarks. He apologised on X, calling his comments badly misjudged and accepting Labour's decision. A government spokesperson said Prime Minister Keir Starmer is committed to high standards in public office. Housing Minister Matthew Pennycook called the messages completely unacceptable. US President Donald Trump top officials will travel to Europe for security talks with a special focus on Ukraine. He has also said the negotiations are gaining momentum. This comes as Russia launches 151 drones in Ukraine's and Zelensky's army launches 3 attacks in Russia's territory. Here is a detailed report.
A trio of top Trump administration officials will make separate trips to Europe this week, with security and Washington's commitment to Ukraine expected to be at the heart of their discussions. Vice President J.D. Vance will take part in an AI summit in France and then attend the Munich Security Conference in Germany along with Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth will meanwhile visit the headquarters of US military commands in Germany before attending a meeting of NATO defense ministers and a gathering of Ukraine's international supporters in Belgium. These trips will focus on US President Donald Trump's call on allies to boost their defense spending drastically. This comes as Trump reported progress in potential truce talks between Russia and Ukraine, but declined to provide any details about any communication with Russian President Vladimir Putin. On the battleground, Ukraine's military said it shot down 70 drones out of the 151 that Russia launched to attack the country overnight. Damages were reported in several regions, including Kyiv. Meanwhile, Ukraine launched drone strikes on 8 Russian regions and annexed Crimea, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. Russian air defense reportedly shot down 35 drones across several areas. Bureau Report, NewsX.
And that is all we have time for. We will continue to bring you more updates from across the world.